Because, oh man, oh man, oh man. I didn't have a super amount of time to push yesterday as I had some meetings to take care of in the afternoon. But I am at a, like, comical. I think I mentioned yesterday in Infernum how comical the step up is between everything else, which has already been very hard. You know, bosses with hundreds of pulls, into the exomechs and whatever lies beyond. And I still feel that today. I gave it like, I don't know, like 3 hours or something like that. Made some progress, like really middling progress, but it's... How do I describe this? It feels funny. It does. It feels funny in certain places. And a part of the twist with this fight is why it's not stressing me out too much is you have so much choice. And you don't know if you're making the right choice. You've no idea. And the choice is, which order do you want to fight the 3 bosses in? And I've got to give so much credence to the developers of this, in that every combination you do is different. Like, it does different things. Like, if you start with the worm and go into the robot, then you'll get a certain set of mechanics, which then leads to the eyeball phase, which is rather difficult. And my gut feeling was, I can cope quite nicely, not perfectly, with worm into robot. I'm pretty comfortable with that. But the eye phase is so ballistic and bombastic. There's bullets everywhere during here, but you can burn them down. They don't have a super amount of HP. And my thought process is, one, either that's the end of the fight. I don't believe that. But either that's the end of the fight, and if we get through it once, we're done. Nice and easy. Or two, this will reveal that we have a lot more to do, because I suspect there's an alien man, which I believe is called Dradon, who hangs out at the side of the screen, and he's the one that appears. He's like setting the challenge for us. It's like, choose your killer. It's a bit Ghostbusters style, like choose the form of your destructor, right? And then once all 3 of those are dead, he's going to appear and we're going to have another boss, in which case we need a more consistent way, because right now my way is not consistent. It's like consistent, holy hell, I hope we survive here. And then it'll be like, okay, we need a more consistent way, which might be like, do the eyeballs first. And if we get through that and get more comfortable with that, then we're pretty solid with the rest of them. I think, because if you do worm into robot, what happens then is the robot appears, but the worm now circles you and shoots at you, which is just, I would argue this is the most insane addition to this fight, is that you have to spin around a laser, which is going off in like cardinals and into cardinals, and you've got these tight gaps to get through, and it moves at a pace that you have to be like a very specific distance away, otherwise it'll either catch up to you or you'll bump into the front bit. You've got to have a lot of control to get around there. But simultaneously, the worm is just firing bullets into the gaps you need to be. And I found towards the end of my progress, like, there's kind of a distance, like the sweet spot, where you just glance past the bullets pretty regularly and you're pretty safe. However, and this is down to control, if the boss is slightly out of position, which means that there's a solid area near you, and maybe I need to make the arena bigger to prevent this, then you're going to have to come in a little closer, because you're going to hit a wall or something like that. And then the bullets are going to get you, and they're just going to go ting, 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 and they take off, like, I don't know, like a third of your HP each. So if you get hit by a couple of these, you're in really bad shape to go into the eyeball phase, where it's just absolute manic chaos constantly. They're very fast. They're very hard to hit. They're constantly spewing. One of them is doing like a machine gun, but at the same time, the other one's shooting grenades. And if the other one's not doing the machine gun, it's filling the screen with bullets. And at the same time, the other one, and they're a fixed distance from you, is dropping bombs, which then shoot out bullets in all sorts of different directions. So it gets real wacky real quick. Real wacky. And then there's a phase 2 of that, where it turns everything into super overdrive. And there's also a spinning laser. But we did crack that in that it's a fixed distance from you, but it orbits. And so if you stay just like in the midpoint of the orbit of the laser, you can kind of twist around it. And that started to work. So I was like, okay, we are making progress. I'm not saying we're not making progress. We're not stalled. It's just hard to make that progress. It's like a real effort to push the extra foot in front of the other to get it going. But it's really fun, because you're constantly reassessing, am we doing the right thing? What if we tried this, this, and this? And part of the reason you don't do that too much is like, I'm really kind of getting comfortable with what we're doing now, although it may technically be more difficult. But it's kind of going back to formula, go back to the whiteboard and like, okay, let's try this different way. And we have to learn a whole new phase, because I tried doing like, I think I swapped worm into eyes just to see what would happen there. Maybe get the eyes out of the way because the robot's not too bad. Maybe we do the robot last. And that has a whole different set of mechanics going on. And you're like, okay, well, now I need to completely relearn what the hell is happening here. Because I'm trying to nullify the eyes, because that's the most wild part of the fight for me. I have done eyes first, have a general idea of what I'm doing there, and sometimes it works. But it's also so manic and so fast. Perhaps I need to slow down. You know, you're constantly second-guessing every part of it, because it's at least 6 phases to get to where we're going. It's if you count that each one of the mechs has 2 phases each, which they do. So that process is really awkward, but what a very, very fun fight. I can see we're at the end, though. Like, they really just... I think back to some of the bosses that I really struggled on earlier in Infernum, and it's kind of nice to know how much better you've got. It's hard to recognize because the difficulty is constantly scaling up. You're being presented with new challenges. But you can see that point in the video game where if I was to do, say, King Slime now, which I wiped on a ton, wouldn't even be a thing. Wouldn't even be a thing. We're like, okay, yeah, this fight just does nothing, and it does it at, like, snail speed to get it done, right? Awkward things like that. But very fun. I'm hoping, beyond hope, that we see the final boss today. I want to get this done. I want to get this killed. But I'm fearful that there's another element of this fight that I haven't seen. And I'm very confident it's there. I can just feel it in my bones. It's like, there's no way, given the nature of this fight just ends when you kill the eyes. It's possible, because it's a long fight already, but this is last boss territory, man. You know there's something waiting for you around the corner, and it's going to go, aha! But what about here? And now we have to get to the point where it's really consistent to get to there, because I don't think it'll be a door boss like FF. On that note, I did want to point out we did kill M11S. For those of you interested in FF, I'm going to have a video on that coming up pretty soon on Savage Raiding, because the next boss, M12S, is which we did a couple of pulls on, seemed fine. The video linked in my team chat to review is called The Most Complicated Mechanic in Final Fantasy XIV Ever. Aren't I glad I jumped in now? Should be fun. All right, so we'll see you then. Bye, guys.